Welcome everyone to part 5 of what we are calling the What is a Medically Tailored Meal series. This is our chance to educate our community about the food as medicine movement, take a deep dive into what exactly is a medically tailored meal and how they impact our communities. We've come to the end of the road with this campaign right here, capping this whole thing off on the topic of outcomes for our clients. In this final part, we focus on the personal experiences of those directly benefiting from medically tailored meals. Today, I have the privilege of chatting with my friend, Rod Metzger. Did I pronounce your name correctly, Rod?
You did. Perfect.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Rod is a client first, and then turned volunteer staff second, I would say, Rod.
That's it,
But
yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about the impact of Open Arms meals on the life of one of our clients, one of our friends here, Rod.
Okay.
First of all, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, your history with Open Arms, how you first came to this organization?
Sure. Well, I found Open Arms in 2006. Right around the same time I tested positive for HIV. Needless to say, my life was challenging, emotionally, physically, but I heard about Open Arms. Honestly, I don't remember, but it might have been the Aliveness Project or it might have been Minnesota AIDS Project, one of those two. And I stopped in at the original location on Franklin and started getting meals. So
Gotcha. Wow.
that's how it all began.
And how long ago was that, Rod?
That was so I would say 2006. I think when I got my first set of meals.
Gotcha. And
So
you started.
been 18 years.
Gotcha. Did you
Yeah.
start volunteering at that point too?
No. So then I got meals. I was living life, and then as things got better, I started volunteering 2008, right before the new location was built in Minneapolis.
Gotcha.
And I did it mainly because I really saw how much it helped me, and I wanted to give back, and I've been doing that ever since. So,
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. What a full circle story
Exactly.
for you,
I
Rod,
know.
right
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah.
So tell me, how were you managing your health and nutrition prior to Open Arms coming into your life?
I probably, in some ways, getting a chronic illness can be a blessing because at least I chose to make it an opportunity to kind of reevaluate a lot of things. And my physical health was one of those things. So I think that starting to get the meals, I was able to then look at how unhealthy I was eating, even though I thought it was okay, but with the new challenges with my health, I needed to be a lot more mindful about that. So the fact that Open Arms meals were medically tailored, I knew I'd be getting all the kinds of nutrition that I needed that I probably wasn't getting as much of when I was eating just sort of in my own old patterns of eating. So it made a big difference.
Reframing an obstacle as an opportunity. I love that, Rod. That is
Story of my life.
Very stoic of you right there. Ryan Holiday would be he would love to hear that right there. So at the time, what were the health conditions that you were dealing with? Like what was happening with your body, and then how were they potentially impacting your diet at that point?
Yeah, well, my illness it's with my immune system. So, like anybody that has a compromised immune system, you do have to be much more mindful of what you're eating in terms of boosting your immune system. I think the biggest difference for me was with that shocking news of an illness, some of it became emotional eating, just wanted to just eat to not have to deal with my new reality. So having somebody else, in this case, Open Arms, reach out and say, well, we can help you with that. Not only will you get food, but it's going to be healthier. And that's sort of where I started getting on that path of just thinking more about what I was eating.
Sure.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. So how have medically tailored meals from Open Arms looking at it as a whole,
Yep.
impacted your health, also in your well-being,
Yeah.
beyond your physical health, but like your mental health, your social health, your the whole self.
Yeah. For a while, I was, after things got better, because my HIV is manageable.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, I almost felt a little bit guilty. Should I continue to get the meals? But I realized, sort of to your question, like there's more to who I am and who any of us are than just our physical health.
Mm.
So, but the foundation of it, for what I put in my body, really affects a lot of areas.
Mm.
So when I looked at my mental health, for sure, um, having sort of one less thing to have to put too much thought into,
Mm.
because I was really starting to work on grieving
Mm.
and looking at the bigger picture of my life and how this would play into both my work life, personal life. So the meals took, pardon the pun, but one less thing off my plate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To have to think about. And the variety I got, that helped a lot. And I think it was when I started at one point in my years at Open Arms, I was been on the client services committee.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember mentioning that on our annual survey that we as clients would fill out to maybe put a part in there on mental health,
Mm.
because I think most people, well, every human being that I know has to deal with life stress and
Mm-hmm.
things. But when you're dealing with a chronic illness, that can have its own set of challenges. So it felt like I made it clear to the other clients on that committee and to the staff that was helping with the committee, like the food really plays a major role in my mental well-being as
Mm.
well. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Two important points there. I think
Mm-hmm.
is like you touched on the fact we hear the story a lot with clients is that it takes the thinking out of the process and meal
Yep.
prep, right?
Yep.
We've done the research on the meals that
Mm-hmm.
you're receiving to help you heal. Um, and then your second point, and I think you mentioned that I'm going to blank on this part, so I'm going to skip that. Um,
Keep going.
what was the second part that you'd said there? It was such a good point.
Well, I mentioned that as a client, it was important to me to be mindful of my mental health as well, and
Oh
and
yes,
so
gotcha.
yeah,
The mental health. So I'm
yep,
gonna I'm
go
gonna
with
start
that.
over.
Yeah,
So in 3, 2, 1, marker. The second part of what you said there is the whole meal aspect, or
yep,
that beyond the meal, right?
mm-hmm,
That there's power to this food beyond just the
mm-hmm.
nutrition. That's a really
Yeah,
important point.
definitely.
So tell me, you've been on our meals for a while. Maybe you think back to when you
Mm-hmm.
first started. Did you notice any changes in your energy, your physical health,
Yeah.
your mood at that point potentially?
Yes, as long as the nice thing about the open arms meals too is they really over the years have set sort of an example, I guess, of how what a healthy meal can look like in terms of portion size, incorporating some vegetables, a lot of protein. So when I when I was good at, and by that I mean really being consistent with eating healthy along with the open arms meals, when
Mm.
I wasn't having a meal and making my own or out to eat,
Hmm.
I definitely noticed a difference in my energy level. When I started to work with Callie, which she's been amazing in that whole nutrition team, um, we started to do a food journal at one point. This was more recent in the last couple of years, and that was an eye opener.
Hmm.
The truth hurts, but then you have a chance to use the truth to learn from it, right? So the food journal was real eye opening,
Sure.
and I definitely began to see a connection between changing how I ate in a certain way, certain patterns, to an increase in energy,
Mm.
um, my mood, mental health. So yeah.
You mentioned our nutrition
Mm,
service team, which shout out
yep.
to everybody at
Big
Open
shout
Arms
out.
Nutrition, because I know this is an area that you really
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of maybe geeked out about and
Mm-hmm.
really dove into the nutrition
Mm-hmm.
aspect of our meals. And this is something we heard in our previous um, interview with
Oh,
the Veterans Affairs Office,
oh, great.
that they see clients that get on a medically tailored meal and then become interested in it. and the benefits of it. And that sounds like you in this case, Rod.
It it is. That's it exactly, and that's wonderful to hear that they're doing the same thing because what it inspired me to do is then I reached out to my primary care provider to get on to begin working with the Alina has a. I wanted to lose some weight, so working in conjunction with Callie and guidance from her, I just would meet with the folks at my primary care provider on a semi-regular basis, and began to see the difference not only in my mental health, but I've in the last 2.5 years just slowly changing how I've eaten. I've lost 80 pounds. Yeah.
80 pounds.
And that was enough. I mean, it was intentional, but not on a crash diet or anything other than changing how I ate and paying more attention to, you know.
Wow, 80 pounds, Rods. I mean,
Yeah.
it helps you move on the pickleball court a little bit.
Yeah, a
easier,
little bit.
So to kind of piggyback on this, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but it sounds like you do feel more informed, feel more empowered to make better food choices now.
Yep.
Is that accurate?
It's accurate, and it's really important because, of course, losing the weight was great, and I hope to maintain, healthy eating. But the besides the losing the weight, I can honestly say what's equally, if not more important, is the life skill I've learned with the help of nutrition and even my own self-discipline and willingness. I'm willing to do it and do the work, and that is how I eat. Like I know what makes a healthy meal, and that has everything to do with the work that I've done on myself and then with the help of people here. Because weight comes and goes sometimes in life depending on your stage of life, but to know that I know, like, just automatically what to reach for in my refrigerator and when I shop, that has been the biggest, to me at least, the most important and biggest change that I've seen.
Sure.
So, yeah.
What has been the most surprising benefit that you've noticed from maybe not even medically tailored meals? It could be that, or it could be just your open arms experience too.
I think I'd have to say the biggest thing I worked on at the beginning with my changing of my eating habits with the nutrition services in Cali was how, this might sound like a cliche or something like that, but preparing vegetables in a wide variety of ways. I no longer dread eating vegetables.
Yeah.
So I just learned lots of putting balsamic vinegar, things like that, and just baking them more in the oven. So I think that's probably been the biggest surprise out of this whole part of the journey.
It's kind of your reframing of food and
Yep.
vegetables.
That's
how to
it
eat them, how to
exactly.
prepare them. That's so interesting. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So how think about your daily life. A lot of times we say like the time it takes for meal prep is so daunting for people that are sick, right? They're caregivers as well. Tell me about your daily life. How these meals have impacted you on that front.
Well, with my illness, it's manageable, but I do take daily medications, which I'm assuming many people, both clients here and people I know that aren't clients here, do that. And I think there's well, for me, there's side effects of the medication. So that can lead to some fatigue. Going back to the mental health piece, I know my life is good, but there are days, who doesn't have bad days, right? So where knowing that I can just go home from work or from a long day or whatever, come home in the evening and know that there's a meal already prepared in the freezer that I don't have to think twice about and put a lot of thought into it. And when I shop, I can also sort of shop around those meals that I already have. Maybe I want a little bit different vegetable than I got that week, and so I'll just buy something to either add to it or just replace it for that week. But when the day has been long, the open arms meals really come in handy. And as a person who's interacted with hundreds of other clients over the years, I hear the same thing. Like, and there are many clients that are much worse than I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that they really, um, that's a life changer for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
yep.
Thank
Yep.
you.
No
Thank
problem.
you. That's
Yep.
great. Um, I'm gonna do a. I'm gonna actually leading into that.
Yep.
I would love you to. Or what would you say to somebody that's considering open arms
Okay.
as as a medically tailored meal option for their critical illness, or a client out there watching this who
Oh yeah.
I don't know about nutrition, I don't know enough about food. I mean, what is your suggestion or your recommendation to those
Yeah.
two audiences?
Well, my experience, I can speak from my own experience that meals have been, as I've shared today already, been very much a positive impact, life changing in a way. But I would say the other thing that this is a personal sort of attitude on life, like anything else that's new. Um, I think you have to have a heart of being willing to try it, trust the process, and trust people. This is hard for a lot of people, but I've
Mm,
had to learn this over the years to trust people that know more about you might know around food.
mm,
It's so easy, I think, for any of us to, believe that we know everything there is to know, and what works for us is always going to work for us. But the blessing of, for me, of my illness is what it humbled me enough to say, I can ask for help, right?
mm,
So I think I would just say to people that are considering getting the meals, or especially working with the nutrition team, um, they definitely are the my experience with them, they are such great listeners. So I've never been asked to do something that doesn't make sense to me,
mm.
or that my doctors wouldn't support, obviously. But I just feel like just having that open-mindedness and trust in people here or other areas of your life that do know what they're doing around nutrition,
Mm.
because the results speak for themselves in my life, especially in how um, they're not going to be holding my hand or be on my side forever. So the patterns that I've learned, I can go and continue to use even if I'm no longer a client here. So I can't stress enough how it's worth it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, whether you're a potential client out there or a
Yeah.
client that's in thinking about nutrition services, trust the process.
Yeah.
Please
Mhm.
reach out to us, reach out to our nutrition services team, and we will help you from there. Rod, it has been
Mhm.
a pleasure, my friend.
Yep.
Thank
Likewise.
you.
Yeah.
This has been a fun
I know.
conversation,
Yeah.
and this is the end of our what is a medically tailored meal
Oh.
campaign. So
Okay.
I hope everybody enjoyed this. I hope that you learned something from at least one part of this 5-part series. You can check out all our pieces online at our website, www.openarmsmn.org. I should probably get that right, the communications person, right? But Rob, thank you again from everybody that helped with this campaign. Please look us up online. Check out the Food is Medicine Coalition online as well for a lot of other resources. This has been fun, Rod. Thank you
Hmm.
so much. Please
My
take care.
pleasure.
Please take
Absolutely. Yeah.
care.
Mhm.